Graham placed his glasses on a shelf and flapped his arms up and down. Anne put her head further on one side. He grasped the middle button of his jacket and gave it a sharp, military downward tug. "Ah," he said finally. "Thought you were a parachutist." The lower half of Anne's face formed itself into a smile. Then her eyes moved slowly from sceptical pity to amusement. "Jack said you were a parachutist," he repeated, as if the reiteration and the attributed authority made it more likely to be true. In fact, of course, the opposite was the case. It was doubtless another example of what Jack called making the knees up go with a swing, you silly old cunt. "So in that case," she replied, "you aren't a historian and you don't teach at London University." "Good God, no," said Graham. "Do I look like an academic?" "I don't know what they look like. Don't they look like everybody else?" "No, they don't," said Graham quite fiercely. "They wear glasses and brown tweed jackets and have humps on their backs, and mean, jealous natures, and they all use Old Spice." Anne looked at him. He had glasses and a brown corduroy jacket. "I'm a brain surgeon," he said. "Well, not really. I'm working my way up. You have to practice on other bits first. Stands to reason. I'm on shoulders and necks at the moment." "That must be interesting," she said, uncertain how far to disbelieve him. "It must be difficult," she added. "It is difficult." He shifted his glasses on his nose, moving them sideways before settling them back exactly where they'd been before. He was tall, with an elongated, squared-off face and dark brown hair erratically touched with grey, as if someone had shaken it from a clogging pepper pot. "It's also dangerous." "I should think it is. No wonder his hair was like that." "The most dangerous part," he explained, "is the flying." She smiled. He smiled. She wasn't just pretty. She was friendly as well. "I'm a buyer," she said. "I buy clothes." "I'm an academic," he said. "I teach history at London University." "I'm a magician," said Jack Lupton, loafing at the edge of their conversation, and now canting a bottle into the middle of it. "I teach magic at the University of Life. Wine or wine?" "Go away, Jack," said Graham, firmly for him, and Jack had gone away. Looking back, Graham could see with urgent clarity how beached his life had been at that time, unless, of course, urgent clarity was always a deceptive function of looking back. He'd been 38 then, 15 years married, 10 years in the same job, halfway through an elastic mortgage, halfway through life as well, he supposed, and he could feel the downhill slope already. Not that Barbara would have seen it like this, and not that he could have expressed it to her like this either. Perhaps that was part of the trouble. He was still fond of Barbara at the time, though he hadn't really loved her, hadn't felt anything like pride or even interest in their relationship for at least 5 years. He was fond of their daughter Alice, though somewhat to his surprise, she'd never excited any very deep emotions in him. He was glad when she did well at school, but doubted if this gladness was really distinguishable from relief that she wasn't doing badly. How could you tell? He was negatively fond of his job, too, though a bit less fond each year, as the students he processed became callower, more guiltlessly lazy, and more politely unreachable than ever. Throughout the 15 years of his marriage, he'd never been unfaithful to Barbara, because he thought it was wrong, but also, he supposed, because he'd never really been tempted. When gusset-flashing girl students crossed their legs at him, he responded by giving them the more difficult essay options. They passed on the news that he was a cold fish. In the same way, he'd never thought of shifting his job, and doubted if he could find one elsewhere which he could do as easily. He read a great deal, he gardened, he did the crosswork, he protected his property. At 38, it felt a bit like being retired already. But when he met Anne, not that first moment at Repton Gardens, but later, after he'd conned himself into asking her out,